ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live stream Tuesday. I hope you guys had a good weekend and that your week has started well as well. And I always have to think about what the day is, what's been happening, because one day just blends into the next. So we are definitely at a Tuesday night here in the UK, and thank you guys for joining me. I can see you in the live chat room tonight. Let me give you guys a shout out. We have Cindy, Jennifer, Rose, Karen, and Duderino. There's Billy in there, and that's going through too quickly. PM1123 and Bob. Mo's in there as well. Hello to you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. And just saying that dude username just reminds me of The Dude. Which I'm trying to think of the movie, but I guess the hair is quite similar to what I got going on here. If you know The Dude, why can't I remember the name of the movie? If you guys know The Dude, then you can write the name of that particular movie in the live chat room, because it's going to come to me at some point, but it's not. It's not entering my brain at the moment. Anyway, I'll keep an eye on that live chat room. Big Lebowski, there we have, from Duderino. So thank you for that, dude. Right, anyway, if you haven't seen that movie, you won't know what I'm talking about. But we will push forward with tonight's live stream by getting the likes goal up on screen, because tonight we are aiming for 360 likes, and I can see that Orlando's just gone through saying the Big Lebowski, so thank you for that as well. And yeah, lots of people now telling me the name of the movie that I couldn't think of. Mo says Jeff Bridges, of course. If you've seen that movie, then I think I'm quite close with the hair. If I was maybe to be a younger version, who knows, like the early years. So anyway, hello to all of you, and I can see that there have been some donations already in the super chat window, so thank you for those, and I'll get through those in a second. But anyway, back to the lights goal for tonight. 360 is what we're aiming for, and if we do hit that target, then we are going to be having Phil Jam number 309. I'm going to assume that that's correct, because I can't remember whether I changed it or not. And because I now do the backing track on the laptop, it means that the message from Joe is on the laptop, and it is 309 that we are going to be having tonight if we hit the target. So let's jump into, first of all, the stream settings. Just get the likeometer up on screen. I still don't know why the likes are in the settings, but here we have it. 186 likes so far. Thank you guys for the thumbs up. It is very much appreciated. And I'll get the names of my patrons up on screen as well, because they make this all possible in the first place. As you know, it wouldn't be possible without the people at the bottom of the screen. So a massive thank you to them for making this all possible. Everything that I do on the channel, and everything that I do as my side projects as well, which I can't really talk about. But yeah, there are a few things that are happening behind the scenes, and as soon as something happens that I can tell you about, then I will do that over on Patreon. But it seems like every day that there's something different or something else that could happen, and it's just a case of keeping things organized and just waiting for people to get back to me on particular things. But that goes for the side project that long-time viewers will know about, and just especially know over on Patreon. But yeah, we'll see what happens with all of that in the future, and I'll let you guys know as soon as I can as to what's going on behind the scenes. But yeah, and a few other things. I think there's kind of 3 or 4 things going on in the background at the moment that as soon as I can talk about, then I will do on Patreon and these live streams, if it just happens to be a stream on the evening where I find out about things. So anyway, we will now get the donations tab up on screen, because you don't have to donate. Just watching is great. So thank you guys for watching and liking videos and subscribing. And yeah, hitting the notification bell. You might have to check that you are subscribed because YouTube sometimes unsubscribes people, depending on what I've been talking about. But yeah, every subscriber is very much appreciated. And we'll keep on pushing forward and see where we end up with everything that we're doing on the channel, but also my side project as well. And hopefully things will start to progress a little bit more with that side project, and like I said, I'll talk about that when I can. So for those people that can't resist donating, I think it's important that you know between 45 and 60% goes to YouTube through the super chat window, and between 3 and 5% goes to PayPal through the PayPal link, which you can find in the description below, but you don't have to donate, as I said. So let me quickly jump into the super chat window because we had a few donations in there, and it is Paul who's donated $5, so thank you for that, Paul. And the message is, glad to be here in this happy place tonight. Let's have fun all tonight, all y'all. Spike those likes. Peace, love, and rock. So thank you for that, Paul. And Orlando's donated $2. Thank you for that. And the message is, let's do this, rock. Hit that like button. Great idea there from Orlando. So thank you for that. And oh, that was then the message from Orlando saying the big Lebowski. So thank you for that as well. And Phenom has donated $2. So thank you for that. And the message is thoughts on Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominations in excess. So thank you for that. And I haven't really, the only thing I've seen, just because of being, oh, and you can see the likeometer, because I have to come out of the stream settings, which shows the likes, to then get to the donations. You can see that it shows a little bit of the messages if I scroll down and then scroll up. So I'll have to try and remember just to have it showing a bit of blank space. But yeah, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominations, I haven't kept up to date with that. The only thing that I have seen, I think Billy Idol posted something about that, because I know Steve Stevens, and you know, obviously follow each other on Instagram and see kind of what they're up to. I think Billy Idol, it might have been the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or it might have been something completely different. We'll have to wait and see, but I do know that Billy has a documentary coming out soon, I think, about his life, and it's something like Billy Idol should be dead. But he's not dead, but yeah, he's doing a little bit of publicity for that at the moment. So yeah, I really don't have any thoughts unless I kind of looked at the comprehensive list of who's in there, but I think it's pretty much the same every time it happens. There's bands on there that you think, oh yes, they should kind of definitely be in there, and then you get other bands or artists that you think, well, that's not, well, if you're saying rock and roll, you say, well, they're not rock and roll. But also I know that a lot of it is decided on sales and popularity, and yeah, along those lines, rather than just saying that it's a Hall of Fame for rock and roll bands. So yeah, I don't really spend too much time thinking about it, or I just don't have time to kind of look into it, or I don't know, not that my opinion or who I think should go in, not that that'll make any difference, but it would be interesting to see who is kind of nominated to go in there. But yeah, if Billy is indeed on there, then yeah, he and Steve obviously have my full support. So thank you for that. And I mean, I would say that for rock and roll that they would qualify for having the right kind of sound, but like I said, I know it's not all about that. Jennifer donated $7, so thank you for that. And the message is, Phil, the opening song reminds me of the news right now. Curious from Saturday. would you like to have been married to... Oh, and it's gone off to the side. Would you like to have been married to any of the royals? Thank you for that. Not particularly. Yeah, I have never thought about that, but I wouldn't want that anyway, just because of, even when you marry into the royal family, your life is then changed forever, and you're always going to be under such scrutiny, and you're going to get followed around and have paparazzi everywhere. So yeah, I'm quite happy avoiding all of that. So I wouldn't have liked to be married to any of the royals. So thank you for that. My opinion is that I would much rather have what I would consider a more normal existence and not have lots and lots of money, than to have lots of money but then for your existence to be, just really weird, and you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, because I can imagine that's not much fun. As much as you might have a castle or really big mansion or something, as soon as you go outside there'll be people with cameras out, and you think, well, maybe I'd have to go out in disguise, which some very famous people have done in the past, where just to go out without being recognised, they've got masks on, or very professional looking masks that make them look kind of really old, or just blending into the general public. So that might be what I'll try and do, but I wouldn't be in that situation to begin with, and I don't think I'm the kind of person that would be a candidate anyway. For it would certainly be, or maybe it'll be more of a, I don't know, a look that you might have in a cartoon, like a prince or king that has long rock and roll hair. Could be interesting, could be a bit different. So thank you for that. Karen's donated $2 as well, so thank you for that. The messages: hair seems low maintenance, looks great, cheers. So thank you for that. This is a lot more low maintenance. I think what I've just found over the last probably few years is that if I can save time anywhere, then I generally have to do that, because I'm busy doing lots of different things. So if I can minimize the amount of time it takes just to wash and dry my hair, then it's going to be a win. It leaves me more time to do other things. So that's certainly what this hair is for the moment. Just very low maintenance, and it seems to save me a bit of time, which is a bonus. Now Rocking Babe has donated $19.99, so thank you for that. And the message is: hi Phil, I missed the PayPal notes section. Here's the question I meant to ask. Some songs have intros, like your Hero and Queen's I Want to Break Free. They are great short melodies, but why are they there? I think if you ask a question of why, then the other question is why not? So if you want to put an intro to your song, sometimes you've got a particular riff that you think is such a strong riff, you want to start it off, or start the song off with it, and it might even be a nod to the melody of the vocal that's about to come in. So it just depends how you want your songs to be, or how you want a song to be. You don't always have to start with a riff. With my Unwanted Stranger song, for example, that starts with shouting and then goes straight into the vocal. So there's no, because the riff is behind the vocal. So it just chops and changes whatever you feel like writing at the time that you're writing. Then that's just how it works. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. You don't think, right, I'm going to write a song and it has to have an intro or it has to have a riff at the beginning. You just do it, and if there is one, then that's just how it is. So thank you for that. And then wow, 4444 has donated $3, so thank you for that, and says big thumbs up. Right, now I will jump over to the PayPal window, because had a little bit of action in there. Chuck donated £2, so thank you for that, Chuck. And Nicole donated £12 as well, so thank you for that. And the message is, hello Phil, about your hairstyle. I prefer the fringe and without the beard. Your best style, but that's just my opinion. Kiss and rock times now. So thank you for that. In the last live stream, we we had a hairstyle poll, and this particular look came out, I think, with either 63 or 66% in that poll for hairstyles. So that's because I can save time having my hair like this as well. Then if the majority go that way, then that's fine for me. But everyone's different, and I think in terms of shaving, I haven't properly shaved my face in quite a while, and it just tends to, I don't know, it tends to even though people say that I maybe look young for my age, I think that makes me look even younger. But I think there's a point where I think it can look a little bit weird without the facial hair, and I just haven't got the time to keep on shaving. Again, another thing that I can save time. Generally, I'll have a shave, or at least kind of trim the beard, and then you'll see after a week or week and a half, when it gets to a point where it's too long, then I shave it again. But if I'm doing it every day, which I've never done, I just won't have time to do it. But I think I'm quite lucky in that my beard, and I know that some guys love to have a beard and like to have a really thick beard, and then they put stuff in it, and they're all about the beard. But I think my preference is to not have to shave as much, because again, then I'm saving time to be able to do everything that I need to do. If I was having facial hair that is growing loads every day, and I did have to shave every day, then that'd just be a bit of a pain. So I think even now, quite late on in my life, I think there are probably some teenagers or guys in their early 20s who have faster growing facial hair than I do. So I can go for a week or a week and a half without needing to shave. It kind of stays the same. When it gets a little bit long, then I have a shave. But there we go. So it's just totally random as to how busy I am, as to what my face looks like. So thank you for that. And what do we have here? It's the beginning of the month, so now we've got all the PayPal things that are going out to lots of different services like Adobe and the million programs they have that they charge you monthly for now. But Steve has donated £5 as well, so thank you for that, Steve. And the message is, do you have favourite riffs / licks that you like to hear and play? How do you build them into songs and leads? So thank you for that. I'm not sure whether I have favourite riffs or licks that I like to hear. You might hear something, but it's not even, I was just thinking, you might hear something that you like the sound of, think, oh, that's an interesting little run that's happened there. But that can happen on any instrument. So if you're listening to saxophone, for example, and you hear a little run and you think, oh, that was quite cool, and it might be something that you want to then figure out how to play on the guitar. But I generally try to stay away from piecing things together that are subconscious. So that I know that there are some players that if you're playing in a particular key, then they will play a set number or all of the different licks and runs that they have learnt. So they just kind of rattle through them, one after the next, after the next, after the next. And that becomes, rather than extemporization or conscious playing, that now becomes a memory test of trying to build up as many licks and riffs and little tricks as you can, to then kind of daisy chain them all together. But it's never really appealed to me, that kind of just daisy chaining one technique, another technique, another technique, another technique, and just doing that for kind of 3 or 4 minutes. And yeah, it'll get to a point where you will then run out of licks and runs and think, oh, well, what do I do now? And that's where the creation really starts. You think, well, what about things that I want to play, and then what are the notes that I want to play? What do I want to sing through the guitar? And then, yeah, once you ask yourself that question, you think, well, can you even do that in the first place? Can you sing a line in your head? You can even sing it out loud if you want to. And do you know where those notes are? Because if you don't, then that will be the problem, that you think, right, well, you've only ever played guitar from that subconscious viewpoint, or at least playing it parrot fashion, so that you're hearing something and you're figuring it out and you're repeating it. So you're always working from something else that you're learning from, rather than creating it yourself, and then other people can figure it out if they want to, but it is stuff that you are creating. So yeah, like I said, if you're thinking of a particular riff or lick in your head and you think, oh yeah, I like the sound of this, if you can already know how it goes on your guitar, then you can start playing it through the guitar straight away. You won't need to have to work out what you're singing in your head, because you'll know where it is and how it goes. So yeah, that's it. That's always the test. That sit down with your guitar and sing a line and then play it on your guitar. If you have to sing the line and then you have to try and figure it out on the guitar, then you've kind of learnt in the reverse way of creating, because you've heard and repeated rather than creating first. But anyway, that's just how I learned to play, and how I prefer to play is just to create consciously. And of course, for some particular reasons, like giving light and shade in a solo, then you might throw in some faster sections, and you will need to work at different techniques, such as alternate picking if you want to do that, and tapping. But you'll generally only work on the techniques that you know you're going to use as an artist, rather than spending time learning to do techniques that you think, well, like personally, that I think, well, I'm never going to think of doing that. And I've always said about playing really fast and sweep picking arpeggios, I can't think of all of those notes consciously. I know that I'm just saying, right, I'm going to do something subconscious now, and I'm not thinking about any of it. It doesn't really appeal to me, especially kind of arpeggios, just picking out notes from a chord, because you think, well, yeah, the chord's in the background, so why not give a melody rather than a conscious melody, rather than just notes of the chord that you're playing over the top of, repeated in sequence very quickly. But everyone's different. Everyone likes the sound of different things, but it's just my preference to play more consciously than subconsciously. So thank you for that. Yeah, so in terms of building into songs and leads, generally it's always going to be an idea that you've got in your head that you then just play on the guitar. And the same thing with playing lead guitar, is you'll have the chords in the background, and what I'll tend to do, like for solos of my songs, is you'll hear the melody in your head of where you want to go with it, and where you want maybe a faster section to be, and what you want the melody to be in the beginning or the middle or the end. So yeah, you generally just have a good idea of it. I'm never listening to somebody else and thinking, oh, I'm going to use their riff or their set of notes in my solo. Obviously you've got influences that have influenced your technique, your way of playing, but then I'm still only ever creating from what I'm singing, rather than taking other people's runs and riffs. And I know that there's a lot of that on the internet and on YouTube, of particular artists and people on Instagram as well, who have literally copied other guitarists' runs and licks and solos note for note, and then they are repeating them and then selling tabs to their song or their solo, but they've actually stolen it from somebody else. So I think, if you just create stuff yourself, then it's a lot safer as well, because somebody, if somebody is copying somebody else's solo, they know they're doing it, but also all that's got to happen is somebody to notice what you're doing and then potentially your career's over, because you know, people will realize that this person hasn't actually created anything. They're copying other people's work and then trying to get credit for it. So yeah, for me, again, that's another huge reason to fall on the side of just conscious creation of unique melodies and personal melodies, because they are yours, and nobody's ever going to kind of take you to court or say that you've tried to copy something that they've done. So I mean, obviously with music, things do repeat, and you might have played a few notes that obviously another solo guitar section might have in it before, and does have in it before, but more often than not, it's going to be a slightly different phrasing, or there's going to be vibrato in there, there's going to be a hammer on and a pull off. There'll be things that you do that weren't in that other piece, because that was another guitarist doing what they do, and your guitar's doing what you do. So yeah, generally you won't really have to build riffs and licks that you like, that you've like the sound of. I just go the other way and just create something, and if you like the sound of it, then you can start tweaking it yourself, and yeah, you can then get that into a song. You can have it as a chorus, try and get a vocal melody over the top. So yeah, there's lots of stuff that you can do when you're creating yourself. But anyway, thank you for that, Steve. And Leslie's donated £25, so thank you for that, Leslie. And the message isn't there, it's just a straight up donation, so thank you for that. And let me just make sure that everything's over here. Okay, right, we've got a couple more donations in the super chat window, so we'll jump into there again in a second, but thank you for that, Leslie. Orlando's donated £3.60, and the message is: I watched your vocal analysis of Karen Carpenter from 4 years ago. The anniversary of her death was on 2/4. I was delighted watching you pay tribute to Karen. And the Karen's in capital letters, that's why I said it a little bit louder. Her singing pitch was close to perfection. A true vocal talent lost way too soon. So, yeah, thank you for that. Absolutely one of the most accurate voices that you're ever going to hear, but ever going to see on pitch monitoring software as well. Just really accurate. But again, really accurate, but with natural resets in there, occasionally hitting notes that are between the lines, something that happens with the natural voice, and the best, most accurate voices of all time do that. So yeah, it puts into perspective when you're looking at something that's auto-tuned. That just doesn't happen with human vocal cords unless you're using a processor to achieve it. Right, so thank you for that, Orlando. And Karen has donated £5.60, so thank you for that. The message is: Hi Phil, I was grocery shopping where they were playing a foreign language music on the overhead. The vocals were noticeably auto-tuned. I hope I don't sound offensive, but is it possible that applying auto-tune could be cultural? Thanks for all you do, Karen. I don't think it's a cultural thing. It's just an industry standard. So it doesn't matter who's making music. If it's being recorded and released in a professional capacity, but then even still, independent artists are now doing it as well, because you've got all of the artists who might be signed to major labels, and obviously the major labels have signed artists in lots of different countries, lots of different cultures and different genres, and everything that they play in lots of different countries still come back to a subsidiary label of one of the the major labels. So all of these labels and the bands that are signed to them all filter down. They all have the same thing applied to them because that's the industry standard. So if they are a signed band, it will have pitch correction on there, but again, it depends on the style of music. But I think pretty much for R&B and rap, they start to lean more heavily towards that auto-tune sound. And I think now, because auto-tune is so readily available, that where you would have had back in the day somebody rapping and there not really being any pitch to that rap, now they can apply pitch to it. So you hear these songs where the person is rapping and they're holding a particular note. I say they're holding a note. The processor is holding their rapping to a particular pitch, and then they can move that around. Just drag it up and down on the screen, and yeah, now it sounds like somebody's singing. And when they try to do it live, then they'll use auto-tune again. But if they didn't have that technology, then they wouldn't be able to maintain that pitch as they are. So, I mean, there are some rappers that have great voices. So I'm not saying that, everyone can't do it who's a rap artist. I'm saying that a lot of the artists that are using it now, where before it would have been a rap that didn't have a distinct melody, now because we've got auto-tune, they can make melodies out of their rapping. So it is, very much something that's now applied across lots of different artists' work, and because it's an industry standard now to be tuning vocals, it means that you're going to hear it on everything regardless of where you are. It doesn't matter, now even the genre of music or which country you're in, if you hear music coming over the radio, or if you're in a shop, then if you are sensitive to A440, you'll be able to hear that tuning straight away. It's on pretty much absolutely everything now, which is a shame, but this is why we are pushing forward with my side project in order to hopefully have a little bit of, at least a bit of transparency so people know what they're listening to, because some people can't hear A440. So when they're listening to a tuned vocal, sometimes they think that what they're listening to is just somebody's natural vocal ability, but they're actually listening to a processor. So yeah, it's not... I think for some people, when they find that out, they're then not as interested as they previously were in just listening to a computer giving you a sound. They'd rather hear the human voice. So thank you for that. And Karen's donated again, £2.37. Thank you for that. The message is, some guys like to get facial threading. I think they have this in the UK. But from my own experience, you need to have quite a pain threshold. Just addressing your beard situation and a thought. Cheers. Facial threading. I'm going to assume that I think I've seen that on TV. Where is it like picking out hairs with tweezers, but not doing it with tweezers, doing it with threads or something. Yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm sure some guys might do it. That might be what they're into. Not something that I'm going to be getting involved with. So, as for having a pain threshold, I think I've got quite a high pain threshold, maybe, just from things that I've had, before, and maybe going to the dentist and stuff like that, and they say, is it hurting? When they're, I don't know what they're doing. They're cleaning the teeth, but with this thing that makes lots of noise. It sounds like a drill, or almost like they're sanding down your teeth. But I know that they're kind of cleaning the teeth. But that was, it wasn't too painful, but it was all right. But hopefully my pain threshold isn't too bad, but certainly I'm not going to test it doing that. And I don't know whether, does that mean that people are like changing their hair on their beard by pulling out the hairs rather than shaving? Because that's not something I'm going to get into. But again, it's having time to spend on changing the hair on your face, or I don't know. If you've got time to do that and that's one of your passions, then go for it. But it's not something that I'm going to be getting into. I just haven't got the time. I wouldn't get into it anyway, but even if I had the time, I'd spend that time doing something else. So thank you for that, Karen. And Orlando donated £1.50. And the message is, I found it fascinating that the song Don't Bring Me Down by ELO has a slowed down repetitive drum loop taken off their own song On the Run. In other words, Bev Bevans did not manually play the drum part during the recording of Don't Bring Me Down. So thank you for that, Orlando. And that's like trivia as well as a comment. So yeah, I mean, lots of bands back in the day did loads of really interesting things in the studio to try and get a different sound, or to try and achieve something, and achieve something different to other artists at the time. And when you think about the huge artists and bands back in the day, their production was always really impressive. And yeah, they pushed the boundaries of what was possible and always found different ways in order to get different sounds. So yeah, there's loads of kind of innovation going on. And you could say, yeah, the same thing's happening now. But I think the innovation now is very much all in technology. There's not really anything that's like back in the day. They didn't have the digital technology to be able to replicate spaces, or replicate, or say, for example, just reverse an audio file at the click of a button, which you can do now. They would have to play the tape backwards and then record playing the tape backwards in order to get that strange sound. Say, for example, that you're doing maybe like a cymbal swell or something, and when you start out, it starts very quiet and then gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. Whereas if you were to then reverse that, which you can do at a click of a button now, then you get the reverse effect, and it can sound cool, and it can sound a little bit weird and spacey. You think, oh wow, like back in the day, people would think, oh wow, that sounded a bit weird, what was going on there? But it's working your way around all of these different things that you can't and you couldn't achieve digitally, having to do it the analog way. You had to kind of think outside the box. So there was loads of that going on. So yeah, now with everything that's been experimented with back in the day, it's all now digital, and you can literally just put into your reverb, for example. You can say, right, I want this size of a room, and I want it to have this particular floor, and you can just design whatever you want digitally. Whereas back in the day, they'd have to find a space that had the acoustic environment that they wanted. And this is why you can see so many studios just had wood paneling and had everything built in that space for the sound on the recording. They weren't going to be putting in loads of plugins in each channel. They're using the natural reverberations of the space, that acoustic space, and it's been designed to sound a particular way. So yeah, back in the day you had all of that, but now everyone can just do it at home, and you don't need to have any space that you're doing it, as just the space of you sitting down with your computer. But anyway, yeah, thank you for that, Orlando. And what is this? Orlando's donated £1.50 again. Thank you for that. I thought that was the same one. And it says, Don't Bring Me Down became ELO's biggest hit. It is also their only release without a strings section. One of my all-time favourite rock songs. So thank you for that, Orlando. And Karen has donated £1.59, so thank you for that. And the message is, facial threading means that the stylist uses thread to literally pull hairs out of the face, one or several at a time. Ages ago, there was full body threading. Fancy that. I don't fancy that, but thank you for that. I guess it's the same as waxing, or like I said, tweezers are getting a hair and pulling each hair out individually. So yeah, whatever you're into, fine. But anyway, so in the super chat window, we've had a major MST3K fan. I don't know what that means, but the donation is $10. So thank you for that. And the message is, you can't beat 2 guitars, bass and drums, Lou Reed. So thank you for that. Absolutely true statement. And Angela's donated $10. So thank you for that. And the message is, hey Phil, question. Does a song always have to have a middle 8 or bridge? If so, why? There's an easy answer to that. A song doesn't have to have anything. You can create your song however you want it to be. You could write a song that is constantly evolving and never repeats the same section twice. So it means that if you were to say, right, is that the verse? You say, well, no, it's not the verse, because we don't come back to that. We don't even come back to a chorus. And yeah, and this is where obviously we open the doors to progressive music. And as progressive as you want to be, even with progressive bands and progressive songs, they would generally have some part that's repeated, because I think the human brain doesn't like just random information. It likes to latch on to things. This is why, when you're talking about hooks in songs, that's something that the brain, the ear will latch onto. So it's great to have, if you can, a few hooks in your song or your songs, and you'll find that the biggest hits of all time are hook fests. They'll have little bits that repeat all through the song, and that's where you will get a verse, chorus, and middle eight, bridge, and sometimes an instrumental section as well. So I think a lot of the bands and artists that had success with a particular formula, i.e. repeating the same part of the song maybe 2 or 3 times, then other bands started to think, oh, well, we'll do that as well. And then you got the format for the song, and everyone started to write a particular way. This is where the Beatles were good, in that they didn't really follow a set formula. They did have sections that repeated themselves, but sometimes you weren't even really sure how you would classify a particular part of the song, whether you'd say, well, that was the verse, or was that a middle eight or a bridge? But then they repeat that as well at the end. So does that mean it's more of a chorus? But then you think, well, no, because the chorus has got the tagline of the song in there. So what is this other section that we're repeating twice? And the good thing about that is you're getting repetition, and especially if you're kind of putting hooks in there, it means people are going to remember it. But you're getting things in the song that people can listen to that are repeated, but the first time you hear it through, even in a 2.5-3 minute song, you listen to it through once and there has been repetition in there, but you haven't been able to place what was what. And not that people do this when they're listening to it, but it means that you have to listen to it again to now organize which section was where. So it's a very, I'd say it's a very clever way of writing, but it's not really clever. It's just creative. Just writing songs, and you don't have to follow any rules. You can write however you want to write. So if you are wanting to write a song that is following a particular format, then generally when you do get to halfway or 3/4 of the way through the song, you'll want to have something in there that is going to keep the interest, and that's where the middle eight or the bridge comes in, because it takes you on another journey, on the journey that you've already been on. Because if you're just constantly going round in a circle, you do one lap of the journey and then you do another lap of the journey, the third time, that's where the middle eight or the bridge would come on, because now you're taking a bit of a different route and you go, oh right, now we're going somewhere else. And then at the end you go back on this journey that you've already done 2 laps of. But if you do 3 laps or 4 laps of the same journey, the human brain loses interest. So if you are doing it that way, then it's good to go down a different avenue, or you can just keep the whole song more progressive and go your own way with it, and just write however you want to write. So there are no rules, but there is definitely a particular sequence that falls into a lot of huge hits, and that's kind of the format or the sequence that a lot of writers then followed and continue to follow. But there are no rules in music. But thank you for this, Orlando, as well, donated $2 and says it's a shame her solo LP wasn't released until 96. So thank you for that. And Jennifer's donated $5 as well and says, Phil, sort of crazy question. Are there patented riffs? As in, if anyone else uses them, they have to pay money to the person who originated them. That's not a crazy question. That's basic copyright. So if I played the Seven Nation Army riff, I can't do that. that's somebody else's intellectual property. So, yeah, if I was, Jack White would be watching that thinking, well, no, that's my riff. You can't play that. So, it's not patented, it's just copyrighted. That's what it is. So, quite a simple answer to that. Now, let me just skip this advert that's trying to jump in. And Granite Man 62's donated $2, so thank you for that. And the message is Susie Quattro, BTO 3 Dog Night, snubbed again. Rock Harp. Oh, this must be related to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah, I've already said that there are loads of bands that you think, well, they should be in there, and loads of bands you think, well, they should at least be nominated, but it does seem a bit random with that, and it's probably one of the reasons that I don't really keep up with it. I'm not really too bothered about it, but thank you for that donation. And now let me try and get this lycometer centralized. I think it was on... There we go, because we have to go to the stream settings. So now we have that at 318 likes. So thank you guys for hitting the thumbs up. It is very much appreciated, and it means we haven't even done the maths tonight. We're looking for 41 more people to hit the thumbs up before the end of the live stream, and we'll bust out the guitar and have a jam. So there has been another donation in the PayPal window, and this is Joanne, who's donated £3.57. So thank you for that. And the message is, hi Phil, maybe remind people to check the time of next Tuesday's live stream, as daylight savings time starts on Sunday, March 8th at 2 a.m. So yeah, thank you for that. And this is what happens with clock changes and the changes in time. I do always put, actually, I say that, for this one live stream, the title doesn't say, check your clocks and all aboard. That's what I normally do, but for whatever reason, I just wrote, it's Tuesday live time, all aboard. So I didn't say check your clocks. So that's something that you'll have to do next Tuesday. Maybe I'll just do the title differently so that you guys can double check. And the way to always check is just type into Google, time in London, England, and it'll give you the time, so then you can adjust, because you'll know what time it is where you are, and you'll be able to see how many hours you are either in front or behind. I think Australia are in front by quite a ways, and then the USA are behind in quite a way. So yes, right now I think I saw something else going through the super chat, and yeah, it's Granite Man 62 again donated $2, so thank you for that. And the message is, Phil, you consider George Harrison great player? Well, I've done an analysis video on George. I might have multiple on them. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't really appreciate the level that George was at playing the guitar. But I think that there's always the level of ability a particular guitarist has where they can play the songs that they want to play and play, for example, a lead section. Because when you're talking about playing lead guitar, we're now into a different realm. It's not just playing chords and strumming chords, or playing slide as well. There are lots of different aspects to it, but George had that ability to put in a lead section if you wanted to, and he was a competent lead player. It's maybe not something that because of the Beatles and maybe the songs being quite short and melodic, and like I've already said, very much melody driven from a vocal perspective. They weren't going through, you know, very long guitar solos and maybe, you know, sharing a solo and, you know, maybe, you know, George playing a bit and then John playing a bit and then maybe a bass solo, you know, from Paul. So, or, you know, a drum solo. They did have little parts where that would happen, but it wasn't, you know, one of those things where, you know, commonly you'd go to a show and it would have each of them, you know, playing a guitar solo and the other guys weren't doing anything. It wasn't that kind of vibe. So, yeah, but they're still having that ability to do it and always being able to serve the song or the composition and whatever's being written in George's case. So, yes, I'd say that George Harrison was a great player for what he did and the sound that he was going for. Like, it never got to the point where you thought, oh, this song would be quite good if only the guitar was, you know, a bit better or anything like that. It was always, it always suited the sound, suited the writing. And that's what artistry is all about. Just somebody, you know, writing the way that they want to, playing the way that they want to, and it all kind of, you know, gels together. So thank you for that. Angela's donated $5 as well. Thank you for that. The message is not sure how to phrase this regarding copyright music. When a person is busking a cover song, is she breaking the copyright law? So thank you for that. And it depends. If somebody's just busking and they've got a license to busk, and like here in the UK and in London, they have like auditions to be a busker. You've got to go through the process of making sure that you're doing it all legally. And this is why sometimes buskers get approached by police and have said, no, you can't do what you're doing, because if you're not doing it through official means, it means that, yeah, you can be playing somebody else's song and earning money from other people's songs. And yeah, because you haven't done it through the official channels, it means that nobody's really cleared you to be able to do that. So yeah, it's quite a complicated process. It's something that I've said about videos on YouTube that I see all over the place, where they're doing, you know, 20 or 30 songs that they don't own, uploading that to YouTube, and now making money from that themselves from these other people's songs. And yeah, I mean, technically that is a breach of copyright of the person that owns the songs that you're playing, because they're not getting anything from you playing their song. But they should always be getting something, or have agreed to sign over the rights to the person performing and just allow them to take all the money that they might get from that particular performance. So yeah, so a person busking in the street, you've got to make sure that everything is followed and, you know, legal. But I know that kind of people will just go out there and do it anyway. And yeah, when you start making like ad revenue on YouTube, that's where it can start to get a little bit dodgy, because yeah, you're playing songs that you don't own and you are now making money from it. So anyway, Granite Man has donated $5 again. Thank you for that. The message is, had a friend who was session guitarist in Vancouver in 80s, 90s. Better, I'm going to move this out of the way, better than the so-called greats by far. So thank you for that. And then another donation of $2 saying, Phil, have you done vids on Saga or Triumph Trooper? So thank you for that. And Triumph, yes, but nothing on Saga or Trooper that I can remember. So thank you for that particular donation. And yeah, it just means that it's never been requested in the past. So that's how the videos work. The analysis videos is they're just requests that are made, and then I'll take a look at whatever has been requested. So now I'm going to get rid of this lycometer again to go back to the settings and bring it back on. Right, now we're looking for 18 people to hit the thumbs up, and we're going to have to jump into this cover video, which is going to be Carry On Wayward Son, because yeah, it's gone midnight already, and it means that we've got just a few minutes to get another 18 likes to then bust out the guitar and have a jam. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I might have to try and get myself organised. Oh, and here's a quick gremlin report. Just before going live, or maybe about 10 minutes before, my Scarlet interface it was working, but it wasn't being picked up by my computer. I don't know why. There was no rhyme or reason to it. So I did the old faithful way to fix anything. I shut the computer down, turned off the electricity, turned on the electricity, turned the computer on, and sure enough, it was then working. So yeah, whatever that was, that's what it was. No rhyme or reason to it. Right, now let's jump into my version of Carry On Wayward Son. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you after. Rock. Okay, Carry On My Wayward Son by Kansas. Let's do this. Rock. Carry on my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest, don't you cry no more. As I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion, I was soaring ever higher, but I flew too high. Though my eyes could see, I still was a blind man. Though my mind could think, I still was a madman. I hear the voices when I'm dreaming, I can hear them say, carry on my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest, don't you cry no more. Oh no. Masquerading as a man with a reason, my charade was the event of the season. If I claim to be a wise man, it surely means that I don't know. On a stormy sea of moving emotions, tossed around I'm like a ship on the ocean. I set the course for winds of fortune, but I hear the voices say, carry on my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest, don't you cry no more. Carry on, you will always remember. Carry on, nothing equals a splendor. Now your life's no longer empty, surely heaven waits for you. Carry on my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest, don't you cry no more. And there we have it. That was my version of Carry On Wayward Son. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. And thank you guys over on Patreon for requesting that, as well as Free Falling. That was the other one for tonight. And yeah, Carry On Wayward Son, one out. We are going to be having a Phil Jam because we've just gone past 360 likes. So thank you guys for hitting the thumbs up. It is very much appreciated. And it means that we are going to be having a listen to this. Oh, and by the way, there's no Picture Corner tonight. I tried to log into Facebook and it said that there's a problem with the site or something, and I couldn't get into it. So it means, yeah, not having a Picture Corner tonight. And where are we at time-wise? Right, 6 minutes past midnight. And this is going to be, 5 minutes and 13 seconds. So that means we might actually finish on time tonight. Right, let me turn on the microphone so that you can actually hear this. Let me see if this is going to come through. Can you hear that? Okay, right, I can see the levels changing, which is good. And this is epic, progressive, metal backing track in C# minor, BT 263, and this is from N&M Creation. So we will jump into this and see what we can see. And here, I'm listening to this through a laptop, so again, could be a disaster, but hopefully it'll be okay. Let's have a listen. Okay. Oh no. Oh, quiet ending to then fade out. I thought it was just going to end at the final, well, what I consider to be the final bar. But there we have it. That was epic progressive metal backing track in C# minor BT 263 from N&M Creation. So thank you, Joe, for sending that my way. And yeah, that was it. A bit of a progressive metal on the Strat, which is always interesting. So there we have it. We will be doing this all over again, not this particular backing track, but we will be having another fill jam, whatever it may be, on Saturday if we do hit that likes target. So if you guys can tune in on Saturday as well, that would be very much appreciated. And yeah, we'll try and reach whatever the likes goal will be then. So right, it is, oh look at this, 1 minute and 10 seconds left until the end of the live stream. So let me just quickly check in the super chat window. Right, what, a couple of things to get through. Rocking Babe donated $1.99 and said testing, so thank you for that. And Beers donated $2 as well, so thank you for that, and says, where are the sides of the Mugabe behind you? And they're just down there on the floor. So there you go. That's the answer. But no, I was trying to see, because I've got a case that's for the Mugabe, and there's the acoustic case and there's the electric guitar case, and I was trying to find the electric guitar case, but I couldn't remember which was which. So yeah, I took the sides off to see if it would fit, but then I realised, oh no, that's the acoustic version of the case, and I just haven't put the sides back on. I just hang it up and the sides are on the floor. So there you go. That hopefully answers your question. We are going to be calling things to a close, so I'm going to be here with another video tomorrow night. Look out for that, 8 PM Greenwich Mean Time. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And if you could tune in on Saturday, that would be very much appreciated as well. And just quickly, Lucy donated $4.99 and said, howdy Phil, Tony Hunt in the stream asked, how old is your Strat? Not very old. We could probably check back on YouTube as to when it was, or maybe the Instagram post I did when Fender gave me this. So yeah, it's not very old. I don't know when that was, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It might actually be older than I realised, because time seems to pass so quickly. So yeah, it's not very old at all. But my other guitar, my white Fender Strat, is like 1986. But Diamond Girl 1234 has donated $5 and says, I would pay to hear that track again. Okay, so you can do. This is epic progressive metal backing track in C# minor BT 263 from N&M Creation. So you can go and listen to that as much as you want to. But thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I'm here, like I said, tomorrow night. So all that's left for me to say is try to stay as safe and as sane as possible in this crazy world in which we live. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!